Once broken, trust is almost impossible to restore, especially when it's been shattered by someone skilled in lying. Certain questions, when posed, act as subtle warning signs of deceit, yet they often go unnoticed. These aren't just random questions, they're strategic tools used by manipulative individuals to earn your trust even while they are actively betraying it. In this video, I'm going to uncover 5 very specific questions that should immediately raise red flags in your mind. When someone asks you one of these, there's a good chance they're trying to manipulate you, without you even becoming aware of it. These deceptive tactics are used daily, in romantic relationships, in professional environments, and even during casual conversations. By learning how to spot these particular questions, you'll be better equipped to protect yourself from those who don't have your best interests in mind. You'll start to develop something like a sixth sense, a built-in radar for identifying deceit as it happens. What I'm about to share could dramatically change the way you approach your daily interactions. And don't worry, if you've fallen for these tricks before, you're not alone. Most people have, without ever realizing it. It's vital that you don't skip any part of this video. Each question builds upon the last, forming a complete map of how liars operate. If you're pressed for time, I recommend speeding up the video to 1.5x or 2x speed, rather than skipping through any sections. Time, once it's gone, can't be retrieved, just like trust. So let's dive right into the very first question, the one that should make your internal alarms go off. It's incredibly common and sneakily effective. Don't you trust me? Those 4 simple words carry a heavy, manipulative force. Think about it. Has someone ever thrown this question at you just because you questioned their story? It's like they flipped the script. Suddenly, you're the one in the wrong. And that's precisely the outcome they're after. This question isn't asked out of genuine concern. It's a deliberate attempt to turn the spotlight away from their suspicious behavior and onto your reaction. When someone says, "Don't you trust me?" they're not genuinely asking about trust. Instead, they're pressuring you to justify your doubts rather than explain their own actions. Pretty clever, right? It's similar to when a child gets caught with cookie crumbs on their face and says, "Don't you believe me?" rather than explaining the empty cookie jar. You'll see this tactic everywhere. Your partner disappears for hours without explanation, and when you ask where they've been, you get hit with, "Don't you trust me?" A coworker misses a deadline and responds to your follow-up with, "Don't you trust that I'll finish it?" Or your friend who repeatedly borrows money without paying it back asks, "What, you don't trust me?" What makes this question particularly dangerous is that it triggers guilt. When someone questions whether you trust them, saying no feels awful. We're socially conditioned to preserve harmony, and admitting that we don't trust someone feels like breaking an unspoken contract. So instead of holding our ground, we backpedal, we apologize, and we drop our entirely reasonable concerns. Watch for the accompanying warning signs. When someone asks this question, they may cross their arms, raise their voice, or become more emotional. They'll usually dodge the actual issue and instead keep harping on the concept of trust. They might even bring up past examples of times they were trustworthy, trying to use that as evidence in their defense. Don't fall into the trap. Rather than getting defensive, respond with phrases like, "This isn't about trust, it's about this specific situation," or "I'd prefer to focus on the facts right now." My favorite is, trust is built through transparency, not by avoiding questions. Seeing this question for what it is, a tactic for manipulation, will protect you from being pulled deeper into deception. Once you understand that "don't you trust me" is a red flag, you'll stop feeling guilty for asking fair questions, and you'll retain your right to seek clarity and hold people accountable. So, the first manipulative question is, "Don't you trust me?" And now you know exactly why that shouldn't be taken at face value. Let's move on to the second question, which flows out of a liar's mouth smoothly that you might not even catch the manipulation at first. Question number 2 is, "Why would I lie about that?" Have you ever noticed how this question causes you to second-guess yourself? I once witnessed a friend confront her boyfriend after finding suspicious messages on his phone. His immediate response? "Why would I lie about something so trivial?" Her face immediately reflected a mix of confusion and doubt, exactly the emotional state this question is designed to trigger. The psychology behind this phrase is surprisingly fascinating and a bit unsettling. When someone asks, "Why would I lie about that?" they're not genuinely opening the door for discussion. They're planting the idea that they have no motive to lie, which makes them appear more honest by default. It's as if they're saying, "I'm being so open with you, why would you even doubt me?" But what they're actually doing is sidestepping responsibility through a rhetorical smokescreen. This question creates a seed of doubt. You start to think, maybe they truly don't have a reason to lie. But here's the truth. People lie for countless reasons. To avoid consequences, to protect their image, to get what they want, or sometimes simply because they can. You'll hear this used in all kinds of contexts. A salesperson exaggerates claims about a product and when pressed says, "Why would I lie and risk losing a sale?" A child denies breaking something and asks, "Why would I lie when I knew you'd find out?" Or a politician faced with contradictory statements says, "Why would I lie about something that could be verified so easily?" One of the biggest giveaways is timing. Liars often use this phrase immediately, before you've even made a direct accusation. That defensiveness is actually an offensive move, meant to disarm you before you press further. When this happens, redirect the conversation back toward facts rather than their supposed motives. Try saying things like, "I'm just trying to understand what happened," or "I'm not accusing you, I'm seeking clarity." These kinds of responses help you stay grounded and prevent the conversation from being derailed. By identifying this tactic for what it is, you avoid the gaslighting effect that often follows. You preserve your perception and don't allow someone else's manipulation to distort your reality. If you're finding value in these insights and want to support more content like this, hit that subscribe button. Your support helps us keep making content that empowers people against manipulation. Now let's move on to our third question. This one is particularly disarming. When someone leans in and whispers, "Can you keep a secret?" It makes you feel special, doesn't it? Like you've been chosen to receive exclusive information. That warm, trusted feeling is exactly what makes this tactic so effective and so dangerous. "Can you keep a secret?" might sound innocent, but it's often a sophisticated setup by manipulators to test your boundaries and build false intimacy. When someone asks this, they're doing more than checking if you're discreet. They're trying to see if you'll agree to hide something that could compromise your integrity. What usually follows is striking. As soon as you agree, and most people do, because saying no feels awkward, you're pulled into an unspoken agreement. You've just taken on the burden of holding information that may damage others or harm your own relationships. In that moment, the manipulator has quietly turned you into an accomplice. You've probably encountered this in real life. A workplace gossip pulls you aside and says, "Can you keep a secret? I shouldn't say this, but..." Or a friend who tells you what someone else said behind your back, followed by, "Don't tell them I told you." Or even a partner who admits to texting an ex, adding, "It's totally innocent, but please don't mention it." Each time, the manipulator is watching to see if you'll go along. Are you willing to keep damaging secrets? Will you turn a blind eye to bad behavior? Your response tells them exactly how easily your boundaries can be bent. Pay attention to subtle clues. Does the person seem unusually eager to share? Are they violating someone else's privacy? Does the secret cast someone in a bad light, or try to change your opinion about them? All of these are red flags. To protect yourself, consider saying things like, "I prefer not to keep secrets that could make me uncomfortable later," or "I value honesty in all my relationships," or even, "Why does this need to be kept a secret?" When you respond this way, you draw a firm line and avoid becoming entangled in their triangulation tactics, where they control information and pit people against each other. Being aware of this question's true purpose can be life-changing. The next time someone asks, "Can you keep a secret?" you'll feel that little pause in your gut. That's your cue to think twice. The third manipulative question is, "Can you keep a secret?" And now you know exactly how to respond. If you've been finding these insights helpful, and you'd like to support the channel, feel free to click the thanks button. Your contribution helps us keep building tools to protect people from psychological manipulation. Let's continue. When someone responds to your concern by asking, "Who told you that?" you've just encountered the fourth question that should instantly trigger suspicion. This isn't just a defensive reaction, It's one of the most direct and aggressive manipulation techniques in the book. Understanding how and why this question works can shield you from emotional harm that often follows. This question isn't being asked out of curiosity. It's a method of regaining control. When a manipulator wants to know where you got your information, they aren't concerned with the issue you've raised. They're trying to identify and neutralize the source of the leak. It's a tactic similar to a commander seeking out the spy in their ranks. Their goal is to shut down your access to the truth. Psychologically, this question can be jarring. It often comes with a sudden tonal shift, one that moves from concerned or calm to confrontational. Suddenly, you feel like the one who's done something wrong for simply knowing what you know. The question is loaded with an unspoken threat, not always physical, but emotional or social. The threat could be retaliation toward your source, damage to your credibility, or an attempt to instill fear. Consider real-life scenarios. A manager is caught in a lie and demands, "Who told you that?" Not to address the misconduct, but to find the whistleblower. A partner who's been cheating asks which of your friends ratted them out. Or a toxic friend, confronted with their bad behavior, immediately accuses you of being turned against them. "Who poisoned you against me?" Every time this question is used, the attention is pulled away from what they did and redirected to how you found out. It's a distraction, and a powerful one. You'll also notice behavioral changes when this question gets asked. The person may become tense or physically lean toward you. Their voice might rise, or they might become eerily calm in a way that feels cold and calculated. Their eyes narrow. They're watching you, waiting for any slip that could reveal your source. When this moment arises, it's crucial to stay centered. Protect both your own integrity and that of the person who confided in you. Say things like, "That's not relevant to what we're discussing," or "This information has been confirmed by multiple people," or even, "Let's stay focused on whether it's true, rather than who said it." These types of responses bring the focus back to the issue where it belongs. Understanding this tactic allows you to prevent information control, a favorite tool of manipulators. By maintaining your network of truth-tellers and refusing to sell them out, you strip away one of the manipulator's strongest weapons: isolation. Because ultimately, the deeper lesson here goes far beyond just a question. It's about recognizing that healthy relationships are never built on control over what you're allowed to know. Trustworthy people face problems head-on. They don't hunt sources to shut down dissent. So, if the first thing someone says is, "Who told you that?" rather than addressing what was said, they're revealing what they value most: control over truth. And now you have the tools to respond in a way that protects your position and keeps the conversation grounded in reality. Now we've arrived at the fifth and final question, and in many ways, it's the most quietly damaging of them all. Don't you remember? A simple question, yet one that can cause you to question your own mind. As we wrap up this list, take a moment to reflect on a time when someone made you doubt what you were sure you remembered. Maybe it was a partner insisting that you agreed to something you're certain never happened, or a coworker blaming you for an error you didn't make. Perhaps it was a family member rewriting an argument in a way that makes you seem like the aggressor. That uneasy feeling, the doubt, the confusion, the second-guessing, is exactly what manipulators are counting on. "Don't you remember?" is the cornerstone of gaslighting, a form of psychological manipulation where the goal is to distort your perception of reality. And when a liar uses this tactic, it's not to genuinely jog your memory, it's to overwrite it with their version of events. What gives this tactic its power is our natural acceptance that memory is fallible. We all forget things from time to time. So when someone confidently claims we forgot something critical, we tend to question ourselves before we question them. We think, could I really have forgotten that? Am I losing track? And that's the crack they slip through, planting doubt and eroding your self-trust. You'll see this play out in countless scenarios. The partner says, "Don't you remember? We already talked about this," when no such conversation ever occurred. A boss claims, "Don't you remember I told you the deadline changed?" conveniently covering up poor communication. Or a friend says, "Don't you remember how awful they were to you?" To steer your feelings in a certain direction. It's subtle, it's calculated, and it always seems to benefit them. There are warning signs to look for. The person speaks with certainty, as though their version of events is unquestionably true. They may act frustrated or even worried that you can't recall what they claim happened. They might start adding unnecessary details to make their version feel more credible. And most importantly, these revised memories always seem to place them in the right or you in the wrong. So how do you protect yourself? Stay rooted in your own perception. Respond with phrases like, "That doesn't match my recollection, so let's check the facts we can verify." Or, "I keep careful track of important conversations and I have no record of that." Or even just, "Let's focus on the current issue instead of debating what happened in the past." These responses help maintain your confidence and prevent you from being pulled into endless loops of false memory debates. Understanding "don't you remember" as a form of manipulation is powerful. It lets you preserve your sense of self and reject attempts to reshape your reality. Once you see this tactic for what it is, you won't be as easily pulled into the fog of confusion. Think back now to moments when you've heard this phrase. How did it make you feel? Did you question yourself? And with this new awareness, how might you respond differently the next time it comes up? The fifth manipulative question is, don't you remember? And recognizing it may be the most important step of all in protecting your mental clarity and your truth. So there you have it, the 5 questions liars often use to manipulate and control the narrative. Don't you trust me? Why would I lie about that? Can you keep a secret? Who told you that? And don't you remember? These aren't harmless phrases. They're deliberate strategies used together or individually to distort perception, gain power, and evade accountability. Now that you know these tactics, you're already ahead of the curve. You've begun developing a kind of psychological immunity, something most people never fully achieve. But here's the crucial difference between knowledge and transformation. Action. Will you be someone who nods along, agrees with everything you've heard, but still gets pulled into these traps the next time they're used? Or will you be the one who takes this information and uses it in real time, who practices, who sets boundaries, who learns to trust their gut? Start by listening to your instincts when one of these questions pops up. Document conversations when things feel off. And most importantly, apply the response strategies we covered. They become easier and more natural the more you use them. This knowledge isn't just for you. It can protect your entire community. Share what you've learned with the people you care about, because the more people who can recognize manipulation, the less power these tactics have. And remember, authentic communication builds trust. Manipulation destroys it. Choose wisely who you allow into your inner circle, and never feel guilty for protecting your peace from those who would deceive you. What are your views on this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I will personally read all of your comments. And if you seriously want to level up in life, don't forget to show some love by hitting the like and subscribe button. Stay strong. Until next time.